Welcome to the clinical classroom, or the clinical teacher if you come to us from Teachers Pay Teachers. We're going to quickly be reviewing our new product, the more sophisticated mapping curriculum tool for Common Core Maths. This gives you a significant improvement in functionality and elaborative detail. This is the simpler of the two. I will be showing you the version with the macro. If you are using a version without the macro, just note that these two options will not be available, and you'll have to manually click to make it full screen. If you're working with the macro version, you may have an enable content button here. If you click that, it will enable the macro, which allows you to toggle between standard screen and full screen. The toggle really quick to full screen here, and you'll notice that it does go to full screen. If you're working in a Mac, the full screen is slightly smaller. Some of the tools that you can't, the buttons that you can't actually hide, but let me quickly navigate you through some of the features that make this tool so powerful. First and foremost, the Common Core curriculum I have mapped, according to a number of features that I found online, into these specific unit structures. These more closely align to what most teachers have been working on in international school settings and in many school settings that I've seen. They allow us to more closely align them to science and humanities units, bigger units of instruction, so we can integrate it and teach multiple areas of learning at the same time. So you're touching on literacy units, you're touching on math, while teaching science and humanities. This is important because it also works in structures that make it kind of easier to support isolated or specific skill-based units. Let me jump over to one of our sections so I can show you how the powerful aspects of this tool. If you come across a section that has already been pre-filtered, like many of our other tools, just go ahead and cancel that filter out. There are two main features that you want to look at when you're looking at the individual pages. Once you go into an individual section, you will note that it has a home button, and it usually has two tabs at the top. One that lets you sort the grade levels, one that lets you sort based on new or review content. The Common Core outcomes are aligned here in order, rough order. If I'm looking just at pre-K, which is -1, which would be the pre-K, it will show me just the outcome aligned to that. You'll notice that in different areas that I go to, I may have kinder outcomes and grade 1 outcomes, and that's because there are aspects of each of them based on RIT standards, which is where we got these elaborations, that appear in different grade levels. So you may be introducing concepts from earlier Common Core outcome. You scan down to the bottom on each one, you'll see all the Common Core outcomes and their specific wording. Above, you'll see all of the elaborations, each one in its own box. If it's gray, it's a review. If it's white, it's an introduce. So these are the outcomes that you see. You'll notice there were some advanced grade. This is kindergarten, so these outcomes make sense. The grade 1s are early introductions based on RIT scores. If I go further, you'll know that higher up I go, the more I have review items. RIT elaborations have a number of things that carry over multiple grade levels. So that's why you see I'm in grade 2, but I have review items from grade 1. I have some review items and some new items from some grade 1 outcomes in Common Core. I can switch between looking at just the new, or looking at the new and the review, or looking at the review or looking at both. This tool is powerful because it doesn't just show you the generic overview, which is what Common Core gives us. Common Core just gives us this one statement, and it doesn't give you all the steps that work towards mastery. What we talk about is depths of knowledge. This tool is powerful because it allows you to access those depths of knowledge, the steps that are required in order to help us develop mastery over a standard. These are not isolated standards. They progress through and move through levels of mastery, from basic understanding to very deep conceptual understanding where they can apply skills. So we want to make sure that this tool is one of those tools that lets us access that information. And it lets us do it fairly quickly in a fairly neat and tidy format, I like to say myself. If you go to the All Progressions tab, it's slightly more complicated. It's slightly more complicated because it has all the aspects. So if you want to just look at all the standards, you can do that here. Grade level, obviously, your domain. So if I want to look at grade 3, measurement and data, I only want time And I specifically, obviously, it's only giving me a chance to look at review here because it's in grade 3. This one, unlike some of the other tools, does hide the areas that you don't have access to, so it doesn't give you access to those. But you can click them by going through any of these channels. So there are a number of systems that you can look at when looking through these. They all look pretty much the same. They're color-coded to match each of the buttons that they had. It's a fairly neat tool. It's fairly substantial. If you guys have any questions or concerns, especially after looking at the video, feel free to email me. If there's additional questions about how to use this, I'm happy to add additional videos. In the meantime, this is just to give you a basic idea of what it looks like, what it feels like. So please enjoy the tool. I hope it's useful. I certainly find it very useful. A number of my staff also find it very useful. So I wish you luck. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email us at theclinicalteacher@gmail.com, or you can contact us through the website, theclinicalclassroom.com. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you enjoy. Cheers.